see you. Nice to see you. Thank you so much. Thanks. Hi, Derek.
How are you?
Welcome back to CCC. Nice to meet you. Going this way. Where is
Good to see you.
Oh, hi. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Very pleasure to see you. This is what I hear. Good.
Thank you so much for coming to this press conference. It's an honor to have our party leader, Michael Ignatieff, with us here today, along with some of your other members of parliament, Derek Lee, Scott Bryson, and Bob Ray, and we also have Martha Finney, and John McKay. Okay, thank you all. Okay. As you may be aware that our party leader, Michael Ignatieff, has just returned from a trip to China last week. And it offers a good opportunity for Michael Ignatieff to deliver your experience from what he's seen in China, okay, to the media. Okay, so it's our honor to have Michael Ignatieff, okay, to say a few words. Thank you.
I went to Beijing and Shanghai in the company of Susanna Zohar, my wife, the Honorable Scott Bryson, and Ujjal Dosanjh. Scott, our international trade critic, and Ujjal Dosanjh, our defense critic. We were hosted by the International Department of the Party. We had access at the very highest level to officials both of the Foreign Ministry, the International Department, and the Standing Committee of Party Politburo. We had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to lecture at Tsinghua University, which was an unforgettable experience, being with some of the best and brightest in China. My dominant impression there was how open and curious those brilliant young Chinese leaders were to educational opportunities. They all knew about Queens, they all knew about Western, they all knew about Waterloo, they all wanted to go to Canada. And everywhere we went, we were received at the highest level. Here's why. Because every Chinese leader remembered Pierre Trudeau's opening of the relationship 40 years ago, remembered the fact that Jean Chrétien came with Team Canada and went 5 or 6 times. He's personally remembered with great affection. Paul Martin sustained the relationship. There was no question that the highest officials in the country understood the historic role the Liberal Party of Canada has maintained in having both further develop our relationships with China, but also maintain an honest dialogue on the issues where we disagree. But there was a strong sense of friendship and respect for the traditions of the Liberal Party. And I know that Bob Ray has been to China many times. Our foreign affairs critic has led our dialogue with China. We also had the opportunity to see what Canada is doing in China. We met people selling lumber and wood in China. We met people developing educational opportunities. Canada has enormous opportunities to develop the educational market in China, given that there are millions of Chinese seeking not only post-secondary education, but primary and secondary education. This is a place where Dr. Pang has played such a leadership role. So we saw opportunities not just in natural resources, but in the educational sector, in the financial services sector, right across the board. And we talked to the Chinese about trying to get a new kind of global network agreement with China. Instead of dealing with piece by piece, piecemeal, sectoral, trade-based agreements with China, could we get a global agreement that seeks to to capture what's so extraordinary about the relationship between Canada and China. That is, we have hundreds of thousands of Canadians living and working in China. We've got 1.3 million Canadian citizens of Chinese origin here in Canada. There is a network of human relations that link our two countries. How do we sit down at the government level and leverage those networks? Take them to the next level of intensity. And that's the opportunity that we wanted to seize. We had initial discussions with the leadership. They were very receptive to that. They think Canada matters enormously. Canada is not just a partner in one field, which is natural resources. It's a partner right across the spectrum of our relationships. Of course, the issue of human rights arose. I raised it in my lecture at Tsinghua University. I raised it directly with the Chinese leadership. When I talked to a member of the Secretariat at Politburo, we had a long and very interesting and frank discussion about internet censorship. And I made the point to him that the economic progress that Canada has been built on freedom of information and democratic institutions. If they respect our economic success, and they say they do, and they certainly do, they have to understand on what it's built, which are institutions of freedom. And so we had a clear disagreement about that specific issue, which is whether it's practical over the long term to restrict the access of citizens of China to the unfolding, exploding information available to citizens around the world. And this is the kind of frank, direct, respectful discussion that we want to have. I have to say two final remarks, and then I'd be happy to take questions. Everywhere we went, the Chinese leaders we talked to said the relationship went into the deep freeze between 2006 and 2009. For nearly, more than 3 years, because of Mr. Harper's maladroit, highly ideological, often insulting approach to China, the relationship went into the deep freeze. Now we're getting back on the road, but we lost 3 years, and while we lost 3 years, other countries have come up the rail. So we are very anxious to sustain and develop these relationships with China because they're crucial to the jobs, the economic opportunity of this country going forward. It was great to be with Ujjwal. It was great to be with Scott. I have to say that this is the first of many visits to China by this party, by all the leaders. I think Scott is going back in September. I'm sure Bob will be going again. We are committed to the Chinese relationship long term, a relationship built on frankness, directness, one-on-one speaking, and respect for the differences that are fundamental between our countries, as well as the things that unite us, the common interest. So I'm going to stop there and be happy to take further questions on the relationship, on the party, and on our visit to China. Thank you. Sir.
I guess my first question is about how to talk about human rights in a frank and direct way. Because if you are talking about internet censorship in China or anything else like Liu Xiaobo or any dissidents,